Welcome to a Delco Nerd Network Hot Take. Guys, if you haven't seen a hot take before, it's where a few friends get in a basement, we give our thoughts, we give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a movie, and that movie is Denis Villeneuve's Dune. My name is Anthony Ragucci, and as always, the Dunologist himself, Chris Trejo.
It's me. I'm here. How are you, Gooch?
The study of Dune.
The study of Dune.
The study of Dune.
I've been studying it since I finished the book back in January. So it's good stuff.
let me give my. I feel like I'm gonna go first and throw it over to you because I feel like you've read the books, like you just said. You're a little bit more well versed in the Dunology than I am.
Absolutely.
I have questions.
Okay.
And I think you might have some answers, but
I can't wait to hear.
Yeah, Dune was a wild fucking ride. I don't think I've ever experienced sci-fi on this caliber before. It's not really like anything else out there. I feel like it's like, yeah, it's like one of those. It's like Lord of the Rings. It's definitely comparable to Lord of the Rings in the way it's structured. Obviously, like Lord of the Rings is also a book which was adapted to a movie. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just like sitting here, I'm like watching this movie, and I'm just like kind of like, you know, I think it's rare where you sit down and watch a movie and all the lore bits are like brand new. I have no idea what these words are and what they're doing, and I'm like, what is all this stuff? And like,
and it's funny because it's one of the oldest.
And I'm just kind of like awed at the spectacle of it. I think this. Again, I really enjoyed the movie. I think the last 40 minutes are a bit long in the tooth.
Sure.
Like they're just walking
It's
for
a bit
40
more
minutes.
build. It's a bit of build up. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't really have too many complaints other than I guess going into it and knowing that like this is a multiple part film series kind of like gives you that thing, but like the plot of the movie, like nothing really happens with it at the end. And then I think, like, there's not a lot of emotion in the characters. Like, I don't really give a shit about anybody yet.
Sure.
There's no investment in anyone.
Sure.
And there's only a few characters who I kind of, like show some emotion towards Paul. But, like, I think I think we're building up to it.
Sure.
Like, it's not like I'm not, like, bashing it for that, but I can see, like, this is clearly being made, like...
It's a setup.
It's not even like Lord of the Rings,
the first half.
where the Fellowship is like a full movie.
No,
like,
it's true.
This really doesn't feel like a full film. Like, it's definitely leading up to the sequel.
It ends absolutely with the... Like, this will be the biggest cinematic blue balls ever if I never got the second one of these movies. No, I agree with you 1,000%.
So what'd you think?
I loved it. I really did. I had a fantastic time with it. I think... they did an amazing job of building this pretty like dense lore and pretty like there's a lot going on when it comes to like what's happening in the world and what you have to understand. I think he sets that up in a way that's pretty conducive and pretty understandable for the most part. I don't know.
I would say pretty understandable, but
I definitely think there's probably some things that like I wouldn't know unless I read the book.
The
or
pronunciation of like some of like the thing with it, like what's the sect?
It's very
Jessica belongs to like the
the Bene Gesserit.
Yeah, like those words, and I'm just like, okay, I'm not.
No, they're very like almost Arabic inspired and stuff like that, and a lot of this links back to religion and like the whole basis of this kind of universe is that like religion kind of has elevated to the point of where it's tough to even describe, where it has taken precedent, but not the religion that we have today, and like it's kind of like a culmination of all religions and just spirituality in general, and like there's no computers in this world, which I think is one of the most interesting things.
It reminded me of Star Wars, where it's super futuristic, but super not futuristic.
No, it's weird because it's
space travel, but they're living like, nomads in the desert.
No, it is.
At least on Arrakis.
I said this to Ian. I was like, it's like space Game of Thrones, in my opinion, in a lot of ways. It's like, you got your different houses.
It's political.
It's very politically driven.
But it's not like, I think Game of Thrones is based in real world politics. I don't think Dune is at all.
No, it's true. But like, I feel like it's weird. It feels very old, yet very, like even more so than Star Wars. Because Star Wars, I feel like you have a ton of electronics going on. You have these lights going on.
It depends on
like,
the planet.
It depends on the planet. Depends on where you're going. But like, this is like the way even the lights follow them around. Like you're in libraries. There's just everything's kind of made out of stone. it's very old yet very
the lights
new.
following him around.
Like it's,
I thought that was interesting. I'm like, why is this light like following Paul?
I think it was funny. Again, like I just think it's a world that we really don't have many of now at all.
Yeah, especially I think sci-fi. We got Star Trek. We got Star Wars.
Yeah,
we have like Battlestar Galactica, Mass Effect.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of like other big, huge sci-fi worlds. Like they're really maybe like Aliens. Could that even like kind of count? Probably.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's on the same level of a Star Wars or a Dune where there's like,
definitely lore behind it though for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think sci-fi and fantasy. I feel like they're genres that have kind of been put to the wayside a little bit. Like there's not a lot of big sci-fi worlds and fantasy worlds that we like don't know about or are new and really fresh. And
no,
like,
and
even
the funniest thing is this is the oldest one.
Right, and it still feels like I'm like this is really cool.
Yeah, this is cool and new and interesting. Yeah.
So when talking about the book, how does it compare? Like, I guess what are some of the differences? I mean, I think we can start there as we
sure.
kind of
I'm
start
trying
talking
to.
about the movie.
There's one plot line that's missing that I noticed that isn't major. Like in the book, Paul's dad wants his mom to like think he hates her for some reason, and like that he isn't trusting her because of after the like assassination attempt on Paul. There's a bit more going on like in that in between
With the
period.
fly in the
yeah,
wall.
with the hunter killer drone and all that shit. That was really cool to see. I was like, there's certain scenes I was like, oh man, I forgot about this one, and I'm like, no, this is directly out of the book. And even like the Gom Jabbar scene and stuff like that.
The Gom
like,
Jabbar is the hand thing.
yeah, that with the needle with it was cool because I was watching one of those I don't know, Vanity Fair things where they have the director and he's like behind the scene or something and he's talking about the scene as it unfolds, and he was like saying how he really wanted to just take the description right from Frank Herbert, his book, and just put it directly in the book, like in the movie. Like it's all this technology that it's advanced, but it looks ancient. It looks like something you'd almost get out of like
So it's
a
not
temple.
magic, it's tech.
It's tech, but like there's also this element of spirituality because like with the Bene Gesserit, they're like, I think they literally have studied the mind so much that they have unlocked these things like the voice that they use and stuff like that.
And the voice is only used by women.
Usually, most of the time. So all of the Bene Gesserit are usually they're predominantly women. Yes.
And Lady Jessica, who is a Bene Gesserit, teaches Paul how to use the voice.
Correct.
Because Paul is a like this predestined messiah for Arrakis.
That's what it seems. She believes he is. Yes, she believes he has the ability to become that.
But you're not supposed to like necessarily just teach people the voice thing.
Not men usually. And Ren. So like the idea of that whole Gom Jabbar scene is to. She says it like
that he is
that he is in control of himself, basically. That he can contain his emotions and he can contain his like fear and stuff like that.
So is that why Paul's very not like there? I don't
so
think
that
this
was
has
one
anything
thing
to do with Timothy Chalamet. I think this has a lot to do with what's going on that hasn't been revealed yet.
Yeah.
Paul doesn't really show much emotion at all in this movie, and I like I mentioned before, it's kind of hard to get attached to anybody because like we don't really know much about him. I don't really care about Paul.
No, I think
in the sense of like I care about Commander Shepard in Mass Effect, where you're getting to know somebody and it's like more genuine.
And I do think that speaks to this fact of you're right. This is absolutely. And I meant to bring it back to this. This is the first half. It really is, and you feel. I think there is a good amount of resolution in like what happens more towards the middle, and there's that big upset, and you know, without getting into too many spoilers, and the tables turn, as they say. And I think that's like it does set up this good emotional drive, and it's funny that like they do just kind of spend a lot of time in this movie just letting you sit in the world and absorb what's going on and why it's happening, and I love what's her name is Lady Jessica. I think she's really good in this. Like that whole scene.
I think she's probably one of the best characters in the movie.
I think she is. I think her and I think she might even be the best for me in the way.
Rachel Ferguson.
I think so.
Yeah.
But like that scene when she's like out in the corridor while he's getting tested and she's just trying to compose herself,
breaking down,
and she's like, no, this isn't, because the whole idea with Bene Gesserit is you control your emotions, and like I don't know if all of them go through that same test that Paul does, but no, I think it's very interesting, and it's weird because like the Bene Gesserit, usually everyone has their truth sayer. All like the great houses have their truth, which is a Bene Gesserit, and they can basically tell when people are lying and things like that.
Okay.
So and they usually bear children for the house as well. Because the Bene Gesserit, like they'll explain this more in the next movie. They control the bloodlines of all the major houses.
So yeah, I was kind of picking up that like the mayor, like they weren't. So Paul, I mean, King Atreides Leto,
Duke Leto Atreides
had a kid with Jessica, but they're not married.
Correct. Because he was thinking there was a possibility that he could marry into one of the other houses and then produce another heir. And the idea was that, because like you hear her talking, the Reverend Mother talking, she's like, you're supposed to give us a female child. Like we're not supposed like, because the idea is they're looking to cross specific genes to get this Messiah, basically this superhuman that Paul may or may not be. And
so what do the Bene Gesserit have to gain from the Fremen uprising and Paul being their like god?
So basically, the idea is they are trying to create this person to be the leader of mankind, like this superhuman that is like the epitome
to lead them into what?
To lead it to a better future, basically. To be like
right, she does
to
say
be
that.
like
yeah, exactly
to just
actually
like to be the next step in
unite
almost
the
evolution.
houses.
And unite and just so the houses are united like the emperor still rules right now, but the idea is I don't know, like how much did you like what was your understand? I'm curious because like I understand what's going on obviously because I read the book, but like what did you gather? Why did it like what was happening? Like
so the emperor gives them Arrakis. It's a trap.
Sure.
He basically does it to wipe them out.
Yeah,
that's very obvious.
Good. Okay, yeah, I thought that was pretty.
And they team up with the heart.
It's I always read. It's funny when you read something. I always read it as Harkonnens, but it's Harkonnens, like hearkening, like
Harkonnens. Okay. Yeah. So the Harkonnens team up with the Emperor's like elite guards, which begin with an S.
Sardaukar. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were. I was a little bit disappointed with their look. I was hoping they'd look because when they're described in the book. I
actually had a tough time differentiating some of the armor sets and like this guy? Okay, this is a Harkonnen, and I'm like okay.
It was like black versus. It was like black and white
and gray, and then the what are they? The
Atreides,
the still suits,
Yeah, the still suits.
Yeah, and like they all kind of look the same, and I was like, there really wasn't like a super well-known identifier between the factions.
I would have liked to see more. It was more. I think the Harkonnens looked pretty cool. Like what's his name? Batista looked good.
Yeah.
Like no, but even like their armor and stuff, I thought was pretty like cool.
Can I do a sidebar?
Yeah.
What's up with Batista's head? You ever notice that?
Yeah, I think it's like ripples and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, is something like did it like?
I mean, no one's my skull has like dents on it and shit. Like it's not perfectly round. Like there's
but I don't know. Just like
I know what you're talking about.
Watching, I think in Army of the Dead, I noticed it. I was like, what's up with his head?
What's going on? What's up with his head? Man?
Anyway.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I wish there was. I really liked the Atreides like armor suits. I thought they looked pretty cool when they were like first arriving.
Yeah, with the bagpipe guys.
Yeah, and I thought like the still suits looked pretty cool. I mean the whole idea with those is obviously to keep. You'd think they wouldn't make them black, but I guess they were more tan actually. Now that I think about it, but yeah, I think overall,
the still suits are pretty cool.
I think the set design stuck out to me more than the costume design for sure.
Oh, this world is like I mean, that's why you see it in IMAX.
You really need to like you can watch this on HBO Max, and I'm curious how much you'll enjoy it. And I think you will still, but like that IMAX experience is so good, just with the fucking music blaring and everything. It was amazing.
Like I think there was a part where I think we see the sand crawler thing, and it's like, like it's really fucking loud. I love when movies are like ear blastingly loud.
I love the ship design and stuff like the Thopters looked really cool. They were like dragonflies almost.
Okay, real quick, let's talk about the spice.
Okay,
how the fuck do they use that shit to do?
They put it in food. They smoke it. So the idea is
no. Oh, not the ferment.
Oh,
how does it use for what?
Fremen. The Fremen, sorry.
Fremen? I thought it was like Furman.
No, Fremen. F-R-E. Get it right.
I'm pretty sure it's a U.
No, it's Fremen.
Whatever.
I know this, Gooch.
How do they use it to space travel? Because I was kind of confused.
It's for their mind. It's so they can comprehend how to space travel.
Oh,
Yeah, like
it's
so,
not
like,
like I
so
was
they
like, what
can
do they do?
plot.
Like fucking throw it in
So
the air.
the whole idea with like space travel was before they found like Arrakis and spice. It was very haphazard, and like they were just, and people were dying a lot because they didn't know how to like. They were taking way too long to get places. Once they discovered spice, like the Spacers Guild,
So they get high off this shit.
basically, like
And
all
then
they're
they-
ingesting it all the time, and it basically ups their brain capacity. Like, because anyone who takes spice, it's a miracle drug. Is the idea? It enhances you in almost every way, spiritually, mentally, like physically. It makes you a stronger person. But like for certain people who are already predisposed to be more to like a Paul to unlocking these more higher powers from it, and also just this higher. I think the idea is that brain function exists within human beings, but the spice unlocks it almost.
Yeah, because there's that one scene with Paul's doctor, and he's like, "Oh, you had a you had a reaction to the spice," and it's like, "No, he didn't. He was just like."
He did have a reaction, but it's very potent.
Way. Yeah, like he had a full on vision.
Like that's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom. You got it.
Yeah.
No, it's really interesting, and the whole idea of like space travel in this, and like the Spacers Guild is very interesting in itself. Of like
we didn't really see them.
No,
much.
you don't see it, because even in the book, they're just, you see them like you see representatives from them like 2 or 3 times maybe. They're very reclusive is the idea. Even like when they're transporting you, they just show up and open the doors.
I didn't really understand why the Harkonnen just kind of left. So it was like the whole idea the Harkonnen left so that they could trap House Atreides
on Arrakis, I believe. Yeah, and I don't know why. I guess Caladan is too fortified, and
I also don't understand why all of them left the planet. Why would they just leave that planet?
What do you mean? Like, why not stay on? Because I guess they wanted to trick them into
It's like, oh, fuck Caladan, we're just gonna.
Well, I think the idea is they wanted to. What do you mean? They left
like the whole family, the whole house.
Oh well, because another house was going to be given Caladan. I believe that's at least as I understand it. I think that's it.
I guess that makes sense.
I thought, but see, now that you're saying that might not be true, because the Harkonnens, they have Giddy Prime, and then also.
And then Jessica says they could like. She like, at the end, like she's kind of like, we want transport back to Caladan.
Yeah, maybe they do still have, maybe like their house still controls it, but like none of their family still lives on it. Because you would assume that there are like cities and stuff there other than them, like other than their palace. But it does seem like they're very kind of recluse there as well. So I don't. Again, there isn't much.
One thing we don't really see is normal people.
What do you mean, like normal people? Like
like
just the rest. Well, but even like you see a little bit of like the court of like the Imperium and stuff like that. They're on the ship with that like the herald.
I mean like normal people, like they're
not Fremen and they're
vassals. They're
oh yeah, I mean you kind
of they're citizens.
Yeah, it's funny.
Where's
you don't really.
Else?
Well, it's
Where's
really.
everyone living?
I think that they're all out in that city. I think back at least on Arrakis, like you see that like the whole
right.
city. But like
I was like kind of surprised we didn't get like a scene of like people just like ordinary folks.
No, that's actually a good point. I never even really thought about it. It's funny they aren't really talked about in
right.
this. Like,
yeah, it doesn't seem to be
even in like the book. Now that I'm thinking about it, like they talk about their servants and like that one girl who gives them the Chris knife and stuff like that.
Dude, what? But, okay, that knife comes up maybe like 57 times. So what?
It's a ceremonial weapon for like the Freeman. Like it's like holds like a lot of significant. It's made from like a tooth of a worm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's used in like their ritual combat and stuff like that. And I think it has something to do with something that's coming up, if I remember correctly, in the next movie.
So the Fremen, I'm gonna call them that.
It's Fremen.
Fremen, whatever. Fremen. They don't take the spice.
No, they're living in it. That's why their eyes are blue. They're like
right.
they're saturated in the shit.
Yeah.
So like they are like.
So that's why they're kind of weird.
And they can fuck. So
they're
I mean,
just high all the
something sort of. Yeah, they are. Well, yeah, exactly. But they like, and that's why their eyes are like that shade of blue. Like what, like living like that much spice consumption leads to that, for some reason. But no, I mean, and like it helps with your fighting. Like you see, the Sardaukar are supposed to be like the elite of the elite. And
so
they're fucking them up.
That's like the black dude that Paul fights at the end.
That's a Freeman that he fights.
Okay, so wait, what's the S word?
The Sardaukar.
Yeah, who are those guys?
Those were the guys with like the 3 lines in the white suits and the.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that scene when they show Sala. I can't remember the name. The planet where they're trained, and he's like. And they're all like kneeling, and it's like doo doo. Like that scene was really cool. It was kind of like insane. But yeah, they're like they're just insane. They're like the most elite.
These are the Emperor guys.
Yeah, they're the Emperor's like personal guard and stuff like that.
I was kind of surprised that Leto dies and Duncan Idaho dies and
no, a lot of these people.
The other the guy that Josh Brolin plays.
Oh yeah, I guess we should say spoiler. We're getting into spoiler area now. Go watch Dune. But did you see him? You don't see him die.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't think we saw him die.
So take that as you will.
Also, you're totally bullshitting. Duncan Idaho's in like a pretty good amount of scenes in this movie.
I didn't. I mean, he's in the one at the beginning.
In like 6 or 7. He comes back a lot. The beard changes.
It changes after he gets to Arrakis.
Right.
Because I mean, yeah, I'd shave my beard if I was on Arrakis too. It'd be hot as fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, but Oscar Isaac or Leto himself, he's keeping it up. What did you think of like the Mentat and stuff? I guess that's fun. That's something. So that's the thing. They don't even, which I thought was funny. So did you see the guy like when he asks him? He's like, how much would it have cost the Spacers Guild to like ship all these people? And then his eyes like kind of go white, and he like makes a calculation.
Yes, I did.
So those are.
I did. The black Furman person does it as well.
Fremen.
Whatever.
I don't know. I'm just being a joke. Does he? At what point?
Yeah, she gets asked something and she like does it real quick.
Oh, I missed it. That makes sense because that's it. So like, they're called Mentats,
and she's
basically
the keeper of truth.
She's the keeper of the of like the planet
Who's the keeper of truth?
I might have missed that.
Or it was like the keeper of something or other.
I thought it was the keeper of the, like I think it was, I can't remember her exact title, but she's basically the
in charge of the
in start of the well no she's in charge of like the planet's like ecology and like tends to like seeing who's letting people know who's taking it over, like what's going on, like how things work, like the ecologist basically of the planet.
No, they call her an ecologist. Yeah.
But yeah, the Mentats are like, again,
from Fallout.
AI doesn't exist in this universe. There was a gigantic, they call it, the something jihad. It's like, so that the timeline in this, the 10,000 years, like 10,000 whatever.
That's pretty wild.
It's actually more than that. So that's not 10,000 like AD. That's 10,000 AG after G, like, so it's technically 20, and that was 10,000 years after. So it's technically 20,000 years from now is the idea, rather than 10,000 years.
So it's after what?
So there's this thing called, I can't remember the name, the first name, but it's the something jihad, and it was basically these years of endless war about like who was right when it comes to like religion and all this stuff, and basically at the end of it, everyone was like, all right, AI and computers are the reason for this, and they were outlawed. So, and the whole idea is like the commandment was like, thou shalt not make a machine in the form of a human or in the shape of a human or something like that. So like everything in it, all electronics in this are just that. They're electronics. They're like, you open your door, and even like spaceships, like it's people flying that. It's not computers. That's why they need the spice. That's why they need all that stuff to do that. But the Mentats are basically human supercomputers who consume spice all the time and just learn all the knowledge possible and can literally like gather it like that. I think in the books,
does it turn their skin white? Why are some?
I think they're a little bit more pale. Well, so
like that one dude.
I think like the guy Thurfer Hawat, I think is their Mentat.
That general dude.
Yeah, I think that's just his skin tone. I don't think. And the other dude, and the other guy who David Dastmalchian plays, he's not in it even that much, but he's also he's his Mentat, the other Harkonnen's Mentat. We see his eyes like go, but it's funny, they do like the line on the lip. I think in the book, their lips are like literally stained because they consume so much spice. They're like stained purple.
So why does the Baron like live from the? I
think because he has his shield on.
Okay, explain the shield.
So that's the one thing they can't like. It's
I'm just
tough
like I understand there's a barrier there, but like when it's slow, it can go through.
So the idea is if you're moving at fast speeds,
it's blocking.
It's blocking.
So if you're
but if you let someone, if someone slowly pierces something or you slowly push something in, it will.
Right, which is weird. Why would you be
pierces.
doing that in a fight?
Well, but that's what makes it so tough, and that's why. So the shields are why guns aren't used in this universe, because like
I was also gonna say, what's up with no guns?
Because everyone has shields. There's no point. You can't shoot anyone with a shield, and so They don't really explain it in
this. Except for these things that like sit there and like.
Well, so that's they shoot at a slow. That you can use something like, but you couldn't use a bullet because it travels so quickly.
Where's Paul get that gun?
I don't. I think he's just had it on him. Like it's funny.
Yeah,
that was one.
Like, what the fuck is that? I was like, I didn't know we had guns all the time.
Yeah, you know, it was funny. I didn't even know what that's from. Like I totally forgot about that too. I think again they exist and you can use them, but they're usually not useful because they're just using shields, and they do have those laser weapons which are useful, but. If you use them on
they're cutting the door with it.
If you use them on a shield, it causes like a nuclear almost level explosion because it's like because of the reaction.
So much of this.
No, what'd you say?
There's so much.
No, it is so like that's why they're not used like they are used for like planetary bombardments and stuff like that. But again, if you're like if I shot you with a laser right here with the shield, we'd be kablooey.
Yeah, and like I don't necessarily think like all that needed to be explained, but like I knew like there's got to be reasons.
No, there are definitely there's some exposition in this for sure, but I will say for how much they had to put in, I feel like it's for the most part pretty organic.
Like the still suits, right?
Still suits.
The still suits are explained like a few times, and I understand why it's explained like 2 or 3 times in different parts because they're kind of like an integral part to like. Why are like what's
the point of these suits?
Why are these things in these people's noses? Like,
and the idea it's
Paul's
so hot,
like, kind of like listening to like learning, like listening to like
that's
tech
like
books
they still
about
have books.
I'm like that's pretty cool, and like he's like learning about Arrakis, which was interesting, which is also helping us out because we are also doing the same thing.
And it's funny because if you watch the David Lynch one from like the 90s or 80s, whatever it was,
I saw a Sheen with a shield.
Dude, it's hilarious. By the way, those shields inspired like the portals in Loki. I was watching the behind the scenes and they were like, yeah, we saw like the shield effect from Dune and we kind of wanted to use that for like our portal effect. And it does kind of look similar. But yeah, the David Lynch one is hilarious. There are so many inner monologues of just him like talk like the spice that we use on this planet but then it's just him just literally telling you what's going on. It's so rough. That movie's pretty hilarious though. I would recommend just watching parts of it on YouTube if you haven't. But yeah, again, it's a lot of dense, like just story things going on.
Lore.
And it is lore. It is lore. And for something that it's funny is so old yet no one really knows about, like you're saying, you do have to let them know.
I think people know about Dune.
No, you've heard exactly.
Because I've known about Dune for a while, but I didn't know what it was.
Well, it's funny. I didn't really realize how like kind of seminal of like a science fiction book it was, and like how like a lot of inspiration was taken from it for a lot of other things. Like even what got me to read this was when the movie was delayed. Last October, I was like, I kind of want to read the book, but there's no way I'd finish it before the movie, so I'm done. But then it got delayed. I'm like, oh, I'll read the book. And literally, because the trailer, I was like, this looks cool. This looks different. I'm really curious what the source material is like. And then I was like, fuck it. I'll read it.
I definitely enjoyed the movie. And kind of going back, and I'm like, yeah, so Paul is really like...
Yeah, I would like to talk
So
about
there's only like 3 times he shows emotions, and it's when he sees Duncan and when he sees the other general guy. And that's the only time he's like happy, other than just his like, hey dad.
No,
let's talk.
And I do
like he's not very like emotive, which I think sounds like it's part of the thing. The character.
I guess the idea is like in this I felt like he had a bit more emotion in the book, but truthfully I can't remember for sure. Chalamet, I don't think he's bad by any means, but like I don't see what all the hype is about. I don't know
about
like,
him.
Yeah, like I
like, think girls just like him.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's really what it is.
Him and his weird jaw. No, I don't hate him in this, and I think
he's hot.
And I think he works for this in the way of Paul's supposed to be like only 15 in the book. I don't think he's supposed to be 15 in the movie. I think they made him a little bit older, but he does look very young, and I think
I figured he's in his teens.
I was thinking like 18, 20.
Timothy Chalamet's probably like
I think he's like mid 20s.
Probably at least my age.
But I think that really works. I think his interactions with his mother are really good, and I think those scenes with his dad works. But I would have liked his. He didn't. You're right. He didn't like stick out to me like the way I feel like he should.
Again, I like
his mother
movie,
did more,
but I really don't like. I wouldn't say I like or dislike Paul. I was just like about the ride.
No,
not
absolutely.
necessarily like I wasn't invested in any characters, and like I assume Chani, what's her name?
Yeah, Shani.
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah.
She's gonna be, I think like their relationship is gonna get something we're invested into because they're clearly building up to it with all the visions and stuff. What did you think about all the visions? Is that like
it's interesting?
Because the dreams are not dreams; they're visions.
They're visions. He's seeing the future. Yeah, but he's seeing possible futures.
Yeah, because he dies in one of them.
Yes, so that's the whole thing. He's seeing probability.
Doesn't he get
basically?
Isn't he getting killed by the guy he fights?
Yeah, and then there's one vision where he sees where he like befriends him and like he's like helping him, show him like stuff that's going on. Like he's like, I'll teach you all about the desert. Or
right.
Like
that's what I was getting confused about. I was like, what is this?
So yeah, so he's seeing all.
So
of
none
these
of those outcomes happen. He kills him.
He kills him. Yeah.
Their fight is really cool.
It is.
So that's when he puts his blade to his neck. Essentially, he would go in slow to kill him.
He'd get it there, and then he'd just have to pull it slowly in and
kill him.
But that's the one thing that I will say. It's tough to really.
The fight sequences I can tell are like not normal.
No,
meaning they're in lore.
No, absolutely, and I do think it's a tough thing. It's cool when you write that down, but that's a tough thing to show mid-fight when you're like, because you got to come in fast and then slow down. Like you do see it sometimes where like Duncan, the one scene where he kind of slides it really slow through the guy's neck and stuff like that. But I did think the action was incredibly well done, and I do think this idea of like in the future, it's like fuck, we got so advanced that we just have to go back to swords. Yeah. Like I don't know. I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, the ship designs are also very sexy. They're not. No, sexy it's not.
It's because I guess the idea was they're big gigantic
except
blocks.
For those dragonfly things.
Yes. Well, and those are more again. That's an in-atmosphere thing versus like an actual spaceship. I really like the Thopters, and I thought the Sandcrawler looked really cool. That whole scene when they're rescuing the people, I thought was awesome.
Did you like the worms? Obviously,
I do. I think they looked very. I think that's kind of how they're supposed to look in the book. They describe them in somewhat detail, but like I think it's a bit left up to your interpretation.
I thought the part after they use the voice, or Paul's mom uses the voice, and they escape the copter. I thought that whole part was a little too dark.
No, I know. Yeah,
I had a tough time. And mind you, this is like 12 o'clock at night, and I'm a little tired, and I'm like, I can't see anything that's going on in these scenes.
Yeah,
and then sometimes the screen would go from pure dark to pure white. And I'm like, I cannot fucking see at all.
That's so fun. No, I didn't particularly notice it, but that's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought that whole scene of when Arrakis is attacked and stuff like that was spectacular. I thought it was really cool, just them running through. I thought the scene with Yue giving him the tooth and just like that, how that whole thing unfolds, like him just sitting there, just like it felt like it did feel like directly out of the book, and I think it works on the screen too. And I liked what's his name is Harkonnen a lot, Baron Harkonnen, but you don't see him a ton. Skarsgård as the Baron.
The Baron.
Yeah, and like he's just disgusting.
So what's up with this floating thing?
It's like an anti-gravity chassis based, like so he doesn't have to walk because he's a big fat fuck.
Sure.
Yeah, he's thing on like if you see it in like one scene, he's got like it's basically it's like an anti-gravity harness or something. I think they call it.
He gets put in the Lazarus pit.
Basically, yeah, the weird oily Lazarus pit.
Comes back.
They do just make him like man, what would just the richest, fattest asshole look in the universe if it was 20,000 years in the future and it's just that guy? He's awful. I'm trying to think. Again, I can't disagree with you on the fact of my negative is that this is the first half and it feels it more than like you said, like Lord of the Rings, that first movie, it definitely has more of a. At the end, it has a bookmark. You kind of feel satisfaction.
Yeah,
but it leads up to the next.
This movie doesn't even feel like it has 3 acts.
It feels like these are the first 2 acts. It feels like
it has like 1.5.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It doesn't really feel like when they get to Arrakis, it's like the beginning to Arrakis, and then Arrakis is like the second, the second half of the movie. So it's like 1 and then the half. That's it. That's all it feels like. It doesn't really feel like
I think you're right.
There's even 2 acts.
I would agree with you. It starts, you get that first kind of build up and a bit of a payoff with them getting attacked by the Harkonnens and stuff like that and that whole thing. And then we get into the desert and I'm like, this is probably where I pretty much guessed where they were going to end it because that is the halfway point in the book even. Like so
So
that would be my negative.
So
absolutely.
Is the vision stuff like the very end, like with him fighting with the blue eyes?
Yeah, and stuff that's like getting close. Yes, that's like more near like what's gonna happen coming. So like, again, there's stuff I would love to talk about, but
the Freeman, Fremen. The Fremen know he's like the Messiah.
So they have.
How do they know?
So the Bene Gesserit have like
Told
you hear
them?
him like say this. He's like, oh, did you guys just plant these fucking thoughts? Because they've been around for so long. So the Bene Gesserit visited Arrakis to basically plant these thoughts and like these kind of these what are the words, myths and stuff like that within the culture. Also so that they'd have a place of refuge if they ever got caught there or so if they ever got stuck there, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, the whole idea with the Bene Gesserit, if they
Bene Gesserit?
get stuck there for something, like because they know about like how like he goes like, I didn't know you were weirding. He's like, that's basically just witchcraft. Like, oh, you're a witch. Like, I didn't realize that. You have the voice, which by the way, the way they did it was really cool. I like that a lot. The idea of it's like I never really
It's like a
kind of visual,
like a
but like
pitch?
this like yeah, that's it. It's like this perfect. It's not magic or telepathy or anything. It's literally talking at this specific pitch to basically make people bend to your whim.
So it's not magic.
No,
Okay, that's wild.
but it kind of it. Again, it's like that thing of like it's science so futuristic that it almost appears like magic. You know what I mean?
Okay, I'm not exactly sure I buy it with the voice thing, but
Well, the idea, it's like you were literally controlling your vocal cords. Like they have such great training and mental and physical training down to the point where they can,
spice.
yeah, and they definitely spice it up a lot. Everyone's spicing. I wonder how much like a gram of spice costs. I couldn't even begin to imagine. They use some like made up currency in this too. I can't remember. I'm so interested to see what like the Emperor looks like. I'm so like, God, I hope. I think we're gonna get the second movie.
But do they know that the Messiah is like from House Atreides? Like
no,
like, that's
so
what I'm saying. Like, how do they know?
They
it's
know
him?
the idea is like a mother and her son will show up, like, and that like they fit like basically that exact description.
Oh,
and like even the guy goes like, I know what you are. Like he's like when
right. They're like even
he's like, I see you.
Javier Bardem's character is like, I've seen you elsewhere or something like that, and like he's had visions too.
No, he's heard the legends. He's heard, and the idea is he sees him as this possible. I don't even want to try to say it. Kwisatz Haderach.
Yeah, they have a term for it.
Yeah, it's. That's stuff I'm still a little bit like hazy on, and I'd have to like. That's actually what I was looking at the book for last night. One thing I really like about the book is there's like the last 40 or 50 pages are like an appendix and like a thesaurus and all like. So it's like you can go through and like it's basically like the Silmarillion. It's like it has this stuff of like if you want to learn about like space travel, how that starts, and like how we've gotten to this point in the universe, and like why there's an emperor of the fucking galaxy, and like. And how like religion has coped with this and all this stuff.
Is Earth like a thing?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident Earth still exists, but I don't know if it's.
Does anyone live there?
I think so.
Interesting.
Don't quote me on that though, because I don't know. Maybe people have moved out so far into the galaxy that like they are far. But I still think this is like close to the Milky Way-ish, if I remember correctly. I should have brought the book with me. Oh, it has a map and stuff of the whole universe. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Great stuff. Overall, I've thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I was happy that I walked out with Ian, my roommate, and he enjoyed it as someone who really knows next to nothing about it, and like felt satisfied, like with coming in.
I'm in the same position.
Yeah, I felt like that's a good sign. And listen, I think you should be seeing this movie in IMAX, and yeah, just live it up.
So is Denis Villeneuve jumping right into the sequel?
We'll see. I don't know. I would maybe guess so. If it's, I'm assuming within this next week or two.
There's gonna be 3, right?
No, I think it'll be a part. I think it'll be 2 parts for this book.
You think they're gonna do the other books?
I don't know.
Are the other books about Paul?
Yeah, they're kind of. I can't really. I don't want to spoil it. What happens? And
hey, I'm Paul.
Hey, I'm Paul. It's me. Overall, Denny, thank you for doing such a great job. I cannot fucking wait to see more of this.
I love how plebby their names are.
Who? Like, yeah.
Paul.
Well, again, I think that just harkens
I'm
back.
The main
this
character.
is just
I'm Paul.
This is just Earth continue. Yeah, I'm Paul. I'm Duncan.
Duncan, Idaho.
Yeah, and then you got Thurfer Hawat. Like,
yeah, like what? Like that sounds like that
sounds more like Star Wars.
Name.
Yeah,
even Leto Atreides. Like
Atreides feels more like. See, that's like I feel like there's a lot of mixing of like old and like Atreides sounds like an older name to me. Like something you'd be fighting for the Atreides in the middle in like the Middle Ages and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but like like Thurfer Hawat and then like even Gurney Halleck. Like that's
like gurney.
Yeah.
Isn't a gurney like an instrument or something?
No,
or
that's what you like. They put you on. I think when they take you in a hospital, to put them on the gurney.
Right. Yeah. I'm thinking of like a hurdy-gurdy.
Hurdy-gurdy, and that's a dance, definitely.
Isn't it a musical instrument?
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, this is like a hell of a spectacle of a movie. I really enjoyed it. Really looking forward to the sequel. I feel like I'm gonna go watch some YouTube videos that talk about the shit more and explain stuff. I'm interested in the lore.
I love it. That's what I'm hoping to see.
Because that's really what hooked me. And again, the story really didn't hook me. It was like the spectacle of the world, which was The Catcher. And I really don't think anyone watching this goes, yeah, man, that was such a story. Like, because we really didn't see the story unfold.
You got half of the story.
Yeah, we're barely into it.
You got the setup for it. You got the setup and you got the reasoning for why it's happening majorly and like. But no, I agree. I think that's definitely
House Atreides gets fucked.
Yeah, they get yes
very quickly too.
No,
they get there and they're
there for maybe 3 days.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, see ya.
Yeah. Okay, let him get a little bit comfortable, and then that fucking dude betrays him.
Yeah, like Leto even says, like they sabotage the machines, and it's interesting. Like, so they don't really know how to make any of that stuff.
They've never had to do it. Yeah, they have to learn how to basically do it. Yeah,
that's wild.
They just keep taking.
Would tell them how to do that.
Well, they probably studied like Paul was before. Like he's like how exactly like a little bit, but
right. But like they would have to make new machines to fix them. And,
well, exactly. Or
if they lose a crawler, like
they basically have to They have to buy a new one. They have to have another one made. You assume that there's like things that make like there's places to go to get these made, but like I don't know. I really have no idea how it really works.
Yeah.
But I think that does it for us here on another episode of the DNN Hot Takes. This time it was a lot of fun talking.
Top, what's your Luke Kenny ranking?
I'd say high tier film for me. Truly, I would
say mid tier film.
That's fair. I think. Yeah, I was there. I was mid.
I don't think a high tier.
I think it really like is like I said, as someone who's read the book, it hit all the notes that I wanted it to, and it did it in a way that seemed to satisfy people who don't know the source material, and that makes me happy.
Yeah, and this is a movie you want to see in theaters. My theater was pretty packed for a 9:30 showing.
Mine was too for Thursday at 9:30. It was really packed, so that's really cool. I love to see it. But guys, thank you so much for watching with us. If you've been with us live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network, we very much appreciate it. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network. We are on all your favorite social medias at Delco Nerds. We have a Facebook page. We have a Discord channel. A lot of fun stuff going on over there. We have an email address where you can email us any of your comments, questions, or concerns. It's delconerds@gmail.com. You can find all this information on our website, delconerdnetwork.com. Oh, no, wait. Did I say what, Gmail? It's delconerds@gmail.com, not at delconerds.com. Anywho, for Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy, and we will see you next time.